Every week on the USA Network continue with a stacked episode of NXT. Trick Williams and Pete Dunne clashed in a last man standing match. He would be the number one contender for the NXT title. Julia made her NXT debut against Chelsea Green, and we also had the Street Profits in action with Jordynne Grace returning, so lots to get into. And we started things off with Fraser and Axiom against the Street Profits for the tag team titles. Ford and Dawkins were working at a different level to Fraser and Axiom, who couldn't keep up. However, after the Street Profits hit a blockbuster on Fraser, the Bloodline attacked. Tonga, Lower and Fatu laid out Ford and Dawkins to cause DQ and stood tall. The Supersonic duo and the Street Profits had chemistry to explore, but this was just getting good when the interference happened. It was not a choice for this title match to open with such an anticlimactic ending. The Bloodline was a surprise, though. It's unlikely to be more than just a one-off appearance. However, a future bout with these teams could be good, and I think there definitely is potential down the line, and a nice little surprise as well with potential for the feud. So yeah, I didn't really mind it. 7 out of 10. Next up on NXT, Julia was in action against Chelsea Green. A G-trigger into a Northern Lights bomb won a match for Julia. While Green has credibility as a main roster competitor, the pace of this bout didn't work. Julia was too often on the offensive in a match that should have been a showcase. However, the two did have a solid contest, working for a much less structured style than usual for NXT. It got chippy in spots, but it was also a very showcase for beautiful madness. What was on display should deliver against a great competitor like Roxanne. It was an obvious thought that Julia has had a much higher ceiling for success against the right opponents. So yeah, gets 7 out of 10 for me. A simple win for Julia, but I think, still great to see her in the WWE ring, and good showcase. Before we got Charlie Dempsey against Javon Evans. Dempsey's experience played out as he sent Javon Evans into turnbuckle following a bridging suplex for the first fall in round 2. In the third fall, the young OG knocked down Dempsey out of the corner, set up a springboard diving corkscrew for his own first fall. Evans had the edge in round 5 until Tavian Heights planted the young OG with a belly suplex. Dempsey stole a final fall off the impact. The Heritage Cup match structure remains difficult for NXT to put, leading to awkward quick falls and interrupted strong sequences. However, to the credit of both Dempsey and Evans, they worked for the most part. After the messy first 2 rounds, things got moving, especially in rounds 4 and 5. The home stretch showed Evans' path to victory, and it genuinely felt like there could have been a title change, but it wasn't quite to be. Nicole to catch crew needed Heights, who showed out in pro wrestling though. His presence felt different from the rest of the stable, carrying himself with confidence. So yeah, on the whole, I thought this was pretty successful, and yeah, wouldn't be against these two running it back either, to be honest. 6 out of 10. TNA's Hammerstone then stepped up to challenge Obafemi. He matched the Ruler's power and nearly won with chokeslam. However, Femi responded with a pop-up powerbomb for the win. The partnership between these two brands has been slowly and steadily moving to highlight names. Hammerstone is definitely an interesting one due to his impressive size. However, the crowd didn't seem too familiar with him. His attempts to bring the fans to action didn't work, and they simply wanted the Rulers to dominate. This made the length awkward. Contests like this carried by presence and fan reaction. Hammerstone is struggling to sell himself by being at the same level as Femi despite working a competitive contest. It might have helped to pit Hammerstone against a competitor who he'd be able to easily defeat first. But I thought it was alright without being it blow away, and it definitely could have been better. I'll give it 6 out of 10. Before Ridge Holland took on Duke Hudson, Holland overwhelmed Hudson with his power and ruthless energy. The Englishman fended it off with a Redeemer. Afterwards, Holland broke the barricade with the MVP's back and then used it to hit a second Redeemer. Tia Howard left heartbroken as the attack continued. The promise of this match was not fulfilled, as it was a more complete squash than a battle of the big men. Holland was treated as the much bigger star and threat. The MVP, which felt unnecessary. Hudson could still have been given Holland a bigger challenge. Since Holland is now white to every member of Chase U with dominance, it's hard to see where it goes. Hale deserves credit for her role. However, it just feels like Chase U needs a bit of a different plan at the moment. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Before we got Jordynne Grace against Soul Rooker. Soul Rooker was the woman to step up to fight Jordynne Grace. It was a tough fight, but the Juggernaut connected on the SOS to set up the win, and it sets up a match with Wendy Chu when she and Rosemary arrived. The former choked out Grace to stand tall and cause DQ. Rooker has been a massive upgrade when competing against veterans, and that was no different here. She competed at the high level with Grace and showed off her impressive speed. This was definitely the best action we've seen in the women's division for a while, and the stakes felt so clear. Unfortunately, the result was a wasted opportunity, but the title fight should be interesting, and be intrigued to see what watched out on Friday night. Before it's time for Trick Williams against Pete Dunne in our main event. Trick Williams and Pete Dunne hit their best shots, but both men keep getting back up. The two fought on the stage where a Russian leg sweep sent them both through a table. Trick was the only man who could get up, and did so energetically as he back body dropped all ego through the announce table. The problem with the last man standing matches is typically pacing. A slow count can break up the action too much. The referee took the opposite approach with fast counts. This became a problem as neither man could seriously sell the impacts. The emotion of both men came through though in the closing stages, made it a better segment, and it had an emphatic crowd reaction. Trick was the right man to win, and it'll be an interesting one to see if he can regain the NXT title that he's been after since using it in that controversial fashion. So yeah, really looking forward to that. I think that'll be a great main event, and really fun match here too as well to set it all up. 7 out of 10. Overall, NXT out of 10 gets a 6 out of 10 from me this week. Yeah, I thought it was a really stacked episode of NXT this week. Lots going on. I think most of the news made positive, actually. I think, the TNA relationship is clearly growing now. More TNA stars appearing every week, basically. And some interesting angles. Trick becoming number one contender, for example. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing where that goes. Julia, of course, as well. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.